Hello, everybody. This is Ashok Mathur. I'm the Dean of Graduate Studies here at OCAD University. We've had a few questions about the virtual residency we're hosting, so I thought I'd put together this little package to show you exactly what we're doing. This is a list of the partners. Of course, we're working with the Toronto Biennial of Art, as well as UBC Okanagan, especially with Bush Gallery. This is the front page. This is a bit of an introduction from the organizing team, which includes the people that I mentioned, as well as folks at Emily Carr. And here are some of the general questions we've been looking at, thinking about precedents in these times. We're also looking at how we create expressions of emotional and social intimacy, how can traditional notions of land and indigeneity guide us, and what best practices in healthcare can be deployed. So this is the front page, this is the landing page that's a public page for everybody. This is the public events page, and what you see here are the events that are public facing. They're done by guests and by residents, and they have a life outside, an asynchronous life, in that we would be posting these on our YouTube channel as well. This, for instance, is Land Love Zoom, done by Tanya Willard and Peter Moran. This is a project done by Luke Parnell, another professor at OCAD University, and a piece on wild pollinators by Sheila Kala, Dana Prieto, and Lisa Myers, and a number of different things that will be happening that way. This is our process page. On this page, we'll be adding different things that are happening from the residents that we can share publicly. Right now, what we have up there is just the welcome that we did on our very first day. This is a pretty interesting page. This is our gratitude page. Because of the nature of this residency, we asked all residents to continuously and daily post notions of gratitude. So this is the type of things that they are posting. I'll show you in a moment where they're posting this, and then it gets translated onto a public space. We've let all the residents know that their comments will be shared publicly, but that others can't necessarily add to these comments, and this is how we've set this up. We decided to declare a code of care because of the nature of what happens in a residency like this. So we put this together through our research assistants. They did a marvelous job of talking through things like intellectual property, pronouns, various assumptions, spaces to speak, and oppressive behavior, and a land acknowledgement that was fairly comprehensive. Because the notion behind this was to look at not just the lands that we are on as OCAD, but also where various people are on and where our virtual platforms are existing as well. We thought this was a pretty important side of things. And then we have the for residents page. This is password protected once you enter in here, but I'll show you a bit about what it looks like. In activities, you would be able to see what's happening on any given day. For instance, if you clicked on one of these events here, the Caregiver Zoom, this is something hosted also by Tanya Willard, thinking about how to take care of the children, the animals, the plants around us. And it was a very short residence-only space where people could discuss that nature of those things. We had an event like this by Janine Frey-Njotli, which would be looking at shared sound art. Now, this would be one of the public-facing events. So this is where residents can go to find out what's going on in their day, and they can also add different things that they would like to be presenting as well. We also have a resources page and a knowledge commons. This is what I was referring to earlier, the land acknowledgement, a very interesting land acknowledgement site where people can search out what they're doing, what the lands that they're on, or the lands that someone else is on, and to understand a bit more comprehensively what it's about. We thought this was very important given the context of the type of work that we were doing. Now, the residents themselves are working on a platform called Milan Notes. And once they enter into the space, they see this. It's a series of circles. We have over 100 people involved, and so we have a number of residents appointed into each of these circles. I'll show you the partners and visitors page because this is where we're at. You see what we have here is this group here are the organizers, and the outside group are the guests that are being invited in to present and participate as well. I'll open up my page and you can see how it's orchestrated. We can add different things. I put some of my books up there, put some various notes, and people can respond as well about some of the things that we've put up there. When people first enter the site, they have a care guide, including the code of care, which I mentioned before, how to use Milan Notes, residency activities. So if you open up this and you look at side activities, for instance, you'd see a whole host of things that are happening. We've set up various Zoom sites that are accessible to the residents, so they can go in there anytime they want and set things up and do different activities. So we have things like artist studio tours that are set up, beading circles, mindfulness hours, and a number of various events. And again, we have our knowledge commons, which has is really a repository of all sorts of information people would like to share, things they're reading and things that they've come across that they think are important for a residency such as this. And finally, what we have are a place for completed projects. This is something that will happen at the end of the residence, where people will start to put these projects up and be able to share them amongst the residents, but it would eventually have a public facing side as well. Let me just briefly show you what one of the circles looks like. You would have this type of configuration where a number of residents are present, and then you'd also have a circle board, mood board, where people can put up things that they are particularly interested, they want to share with their particular group. I should explain that the circles are not prescriptive. People don't have to stay in them, but it's a good place for them to start and to think through. As you can see, someone is on the board right now looking around, and like a little bee, they're looking at different places that they would like to go to and add things to. So that's essentially it. That's the space that we're in. It's very dynamic. It's a playground, and it's a space to experiment around studio, around practice, and around the politics of care.